Yeah.
Ready? All right, so it's June 8th, Commissioners' meeting of the Lunenburg Water District. Just advising you that this meeting is being recorded for rebroadcast over Lunenburg Public Access. We've gone over our first appointment, and now we're on review and sign the warrants. So, there are the warrants, John. And then we also have the minutes. We have minutes of May 11th, where all board members were present. And we have May 25th, where Mr. Woodward was absent. So we're gonna take those separately. Need a motion for May 11th.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion for May 11th to accept the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Esposito, I need a motion for May 25th.
All right, I make a motion to accept the minutes of May 25th.
Okay, and all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Need you both to initial minutes of 11th.
11th.
And then you don't get those, I will get these.
All right, is this?
This is May 25th.
All right, he was absent on this one.
Right.
Okay.
Can I steal that pen down there? And then... Okay,
That's not, oh, yes.
and then John needs to sign those,
this
and
is-
then... While we're wrapping that up, we can go to item number 4. Discussion regarding future use of land at the old office on Leisure Ave. And we've been approached by members of Park and Recreation, the Parks and Recreation Committee, so we'll invite you up to our table here. You can let us know your,
I'm gonna move a chair, but I'm gonna stay back. I'm on day 10 of COVID.
okay?
So,
Why don't you take that one, put it
Yeah,
on
why
the
don't
other
you,
side?
yeah, why don't you swing it right over
I'm gonna
here?
move that
We
way.
want to get your beautiful face in the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah. And then if
Don't
you,
worry, I've been on camera plenty the last 10 years.
So I'm Karen Menard, I'm the chair of the Park Commission.
Okay.
And Dave Tassios as my sidekick, a member of the Park Commission.
okay,
I'll give a little bit, I'm sure Dave will give a little bit more. Yeah, Dave, if you want me to.
Yeah, you can give it from
Okay, so-
what we've discussed up to this point, and then I'll fill in any other blanks that I think should be.
Dave, in his grand ideas, always has grand ideas, was looking to see what properties were in the possession of, I'm gonna use the town as just,
Sure.
whether it be the water district, or the town in general, to see what was available, to start having some discussions about what the needs are of the current park commission. And one of the pieces of property that came up was your property on Leisure because it abuts McNally Field. So in talking with Dave, and then realizing that you actually have a building over there, we don't have space. Right now, we are dependent on trying to get space at TC Passios, which is not always easy to come by because it's a tedious process to get approved. And then we have our beach house, which is actually not even usable this current season. So we don't have a building, we have nothing. So all of our programming, anything like that is all dependent on us finding something. So when Dave approached me and said, you know, what about this piece of land? Should we have this discussion with them to see if they would be interested in coming up with some sort of user agreement, for lack of a better word, of, you know, possibly being able for the Parks Commission to use, whether it be the land in the building, just sort of have that discussion. I have no idea where you guys are on, you know, what your needs are of that piece of property, what you're currently using it for, that sort of thing. So that's really why we're here, to sort of start having some general discussions and then seeing where it goes.
What would you be looking to, I mean, you mentioned use it for, I'm not quite sure what, like, I remember when we had the old Parks, the building, that was something that now gone.
Yeah.
Like,
West Street.
what would you be using it for? Would you store there? Would you need office space? What?
So that's sort of multifaceted. So I don't know if anybody's followed along with the Marshall Park master plan design process that's gone on.
Yep.
One of the plan that we chose as a commission at the end will eventually, or could eventually remove our T-ball field from Marshall Park. That field would need a new home. So we were, in looking at McNally Field, the Parks Commission actually owns further back than just that field location. We go back to your property and we actually jut out to the road. It may be big enough for a T-ball field, but there's no parking. So I can't, we are really good at putting things in this town with no parking. So I couldn't sit here and say, let's put a T-ball field over there when I know there's no parking. So, you know, it could be a combination of, it might be just using the parking lot. It might be, you know, if the T-ball field can be put over there, can it be positioned in a way that makes sense, accessible to the parking? Maybe a, you know, a piece of the field might end up on Water District property. You know, I've never been in that building, so I don't know what's there. If somebody gave me a room like this, I tell you that I would be the first in line to be running, you know, programming for kids, whether it be arts and crafts or, you know, some adult programming, where we currently don't have dedicated space to be able to do that.
Okay.
And I think you even own a piece on the other side. I mean, the opportunities are endless when you, if you were to give Parks Commission, anybody gave Parks Commission a piece of land, the opportunities are endless. There's millions of things we could do with it. It would never go unused.
Just to, for my map purposes here, the basketball courts.
Yes.
Okay, that whole block, you might say, that does go down to Leisure, that wooded area there, who owns that?
We do,
You do?
we do.
Okay.
That's behind the houses on,
That's up further though, by a couple of blocks.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah, I
towards
understand.
13,
Yeah, yeah.
yep.
to
So
that-
it goes
that whole-
basketball courts.
There's like a couple and then
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
the-
basketball courts, it's the
Playground.
new playground, and then it's a wooded area
Yes.
directly behind
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yep. And
so,
then
so
two
if
full
you.
blocks.
if
Yeah,
you-
two full blocks is McNally, the
Yeah.
newer condo complex, and then where behind it. Okay.
Right, so all the properties then would be would be connected, and the ball field, the land in the back, the water district property. Now, are you thinking about, I don't know, is the town wanna buy that property, they wanna use it, they wanna rent it, I mean, or they haven't
John,
done
can I
anything
step
to
in?
help you?
Can I step in for a minute?
Yeah.
And I'm always told that I'm the crazy dreamer. And, you know, this conversation was to start the conversation as to what direction it might be able to go.
Okay.
Whether it be an agreement between the two entities to lease the property, use the property, or outright get it back under town control completely through some agreement, whatever that agreement is. So I have those three options pretty much in my head. Excuse me. The Parks Commission owns, I don't know if you can picture this or not, but you've got McNally Field, and this is along Leisure now. You've got McNally Field, then you have a residence, then we own about a 50-foot strip between the two houses that goes to the back of that, and then there's another residence, then the driveway to your.
Okay,
Does it actually
Building.
connect? I was trying to bring up the GIS.
It does.
So the-
That jut in and behind those two houses,
Yeah.
that's all Parks property. That undeveloped brush and trees,
Yeah.
that's all Parks property,
So
right to your property.
approximately how wide of a right of way do you have from the fields to the water district building?
Oh.
I mean, is it
The
20
land-
feet
the
wide?
land-
You'd have to
we
bring it
own
up
all
on-
that land. We
Okay.
gave it to the town
Right.
for the park. So we owned from there to Whalen Road. Then we only broke off and kept a little piece for our building. So that was one big piece
Okay.
at one
Okay,
time.
and I don't know that
Right,
history.
but
Yeah.
behind those houses, how
wide- how-
are we talking like 100
It's
feet? or-
100 and something feet
Yeah,
wide,
it's
I
not very
believe.
wide.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
but still, I
100
mean, it's
feet's
got.
pretty wide, when you
pretty-
talk about,
Well, not when you talk about a baseball field.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh.
the T-ball field is only a very small
It's small.
field.
Yeah,
You know, and I've been meaning to go over and measure it, Marshall.
Right.
It's not large. The problem is you add another use over there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you've already got a parking problem.
Yeah,
Right.
My kid plays with it.
And when you ask like what our plan is, we can't really come up with a plan. If,
Understood.
Unless
you know,
it, yep.
If you guys
Totally,
are, if it's
yeah.
not something that you're interested in,
You're not gonna put the effort into it, yeah.
Exactly.
We can't say no.
you know, it's an ongoing conversation.
Just
if you are.
in theory, like where the McDonald Field currently sits, would you be looking to, like, I would guess, say, put it like the newer T-ball field kind of like along the third baseline, like around there, that side, or
No, it'd be,
I envisioned it behind those houses in that piece that
Yeah.
Okay.
comes
Closer to
towards
the
the water
water
department
district
property. That's the vision.
And then
But whether it fits or not.
we
is-
own
Yeah.
that piece across the street too.
Yeah, that was
That would
donated by
make-
the
that would make
developer.
That would make a good parking lot for you.
Yep.
Don't offer us too much.
Oh, I'm not offering you anything,
Yeah.
I'm just talking.
no, I think there's probably a lot of uses they can come up with. It's a
One
matter of
point-
whether we're looking to, what we're looking to do with the property.
Right.
I guess for me personally, what I'd like to do is actually see a GIS map.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and sit down and be like, okay, you know,
We actually had a screenshot. I didn't get a chance to print it
No problem. I
today.
mean, but I will say that the building currently is definitely a value to us and in use. I wouldn't be one that would want to get rid of that or.
Yeah, I have no
that's
idea
part
what
of
you
it.
use it for, so.
You know, the
So we're-
sports
I mean, if we had access to the building, again, pie in the sky, my brain sitting up there thinking
Yeah.
about all this stuff, you know, we would improve it, have our rec director's office there, and then see what we could do
Sure.
for room for something like this that could be an arts and crafts room or whatever programming, and put the entire building to use. The other little piece of this is I don't know what you call that, but the historical piece of that property is, I don't know if that's a metering station or what that little brick
Oh, that
building
little
is.
brick, that used to be a pump station.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was, but you guys have kept that up, and I mean, that, if we took ownership of the property, I would see us keeping that up as a destination for historical people.
That would be on my end, would be a requirement that we maintain the historical nature of the pump
Sure.
station in that building.
Yep.
But that's, you know, there's still a lot of hurdles.
Oh,
if we
sure.
decide, you know,
So
what
the
we want
town
to do
of
with the property.
Holden, and again, I didn't dive too far into it, not even knowing if this was a conversation that you guys would entertain. The town of Holden has, their electrical department, is in the Chaffins, if you know Holden at all, it's in the Chaffin side, and they have fields behind it that are, must be some sort of agreement in place for their soccer programs. Like, I'd be interested, if it's something that you guys are interested in, to see how they're working something like that, because it's probably more of like a lease situation. I can't imagine that their electrical department would give up, I mean, it's prime real estate for them over in Holden. I'd be interested to see the way some of our other communities around us work that might have similar things. Because you hear it all the time when you're in the soccer or baseball, you know, programs that, oh, the game's at such and such water field, or the electrical department, or, so, I mean, I know that other towns are, you know, they sort of partner with some of their groups that have some land available to be able to develop something that's usable, so it's not always just sitting vacant, and whether it be parking, or whether it be field space, or, you know, I don't know what you guys use that land for, so all I see it is on the GIS and say,
Ooh.
well, that.
It's real nice.
Yeah.
This is really, Dave will be the first one to tell you, this is like his first pie in the sky idea that I'm like, okay, I can possibly join you on this
Good
one.
for you. We need more people that sound like you.
Don't-
Instead of trying to stop everything and tear everything
Exactly.
down.
Drives
Don't
me
let
crazy.
anybody do anything,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, one thing, and please do not take this as a negative or however you might, because I haven't totally researched it yet. One of the steps I want to take is go back in the deeds, back as far as I can go for that property. And I don't trust what I find on the assessor's site ever without going back to the deeds, but they show it as being that property being transferred from the town to the water department a lot of years ago.
It would have had
for a dollar.
to, it would have had to have happened for when the district was formed, because I believe before the district was formed, we got our water from Leominster, and it was probably either an intermunicipal or some sort of town agreement, so we weren't even an entity at the time, so the town had to own it at one point.
Right. Okay.
I don't agree with that.
You don't think the town had to own
I
it
don't
at one
think
point?
The town, they kept trying to start a water department, they kept voting it down. So I think all that's incorrect. I think the water district
well,
created
It's easy to
itself.
find out. I mean,
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
go back
like I
and
said,
see.
I don't really know what, and I would
That's fine.
research that before I make a definitive statement that this is the history.
yeah.
I'm just throwing
But
it
it's-
out
it's-
there as one of the.
We own
one
it
of the
now, so
things.
that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
point. So-
It was 1939 where the strip went all the way to, because our water main still runs on the home plate. Our water main's still under.
So the only
It's active
transfer
water.
we actually have is from the water district to the town when we granted them that.
Right, I
that
think we
land
sold
for
to the town, I think it
fields.
was like $200. We
Right.
sold that piece to them.
So if you take
And then-
inflation, the amount of years,
But I think, but it was
It's more money than we have.
I'm sorry.
It was a skinny
finish
little
your thought.
piece, and then when they put the new garage that's there now, they had to buy another piece. And I think the guy, it might have been LaJoie, the guy who actually owned the land.
yeah.
And we bought a little piece over and built that, the newer garage. It was 1958 when we built the other garage.
Yeah. I did put a call into, actually a couple of calls into the sewer department to see what what they could give me for information. And Mark, you were right, best they can tell you, that you guys paid a full betterment for that property.
Yep.
But never hooked into the line, and that line runs all the way down Wajur.
Yep.
So we've got, given, if we work out some kind of agreement with you guys, we've got two possibilities to bring in sewer from Wajur on that part of the street, either through our piece that we already own, or if we want to connect the building, then we could come down that driveway, or we could go in to get to bathrooms and then tie to the building also. So, I mean, again, there's all kinds of options.
That driveway is actually a town road. It's actually called Water Street.
And runs parallel to the, what used to be the
FNL
right away,
That
yeah.
still is an FNL right away. I don't know, somehow the town claimed it as a road name, which they don't even have any rights to.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. But,
Yeah.
but that Water Street's actually a true town road. I have all the, what was adopted
Okay,
the
so,
town name. and
so
stuff.
that's the narrow driveway
Yes.
that,
That was part of the issues with the betterment paying for the sewer. Our attorney said we don't have to pay it because it never came in front of our property.
Oh, I
Because
see.
that's a town road, so there is no sewer for our property.
So the sewer just ends on Leisure Ave.
Yes.
And goes
Does
around
not-
the corner.
We do not abut the sewer line.
The
This is
sewer,
a
the
huge
sewer
thing.
line doesn't go down Water Street.
That's correct. So our attorney was supposed to fight that. We had an appeal set up, and I called him in the morning, said, how'd it go? He said, I never went, so boom, we get stuck paying.
okay.
So you have sewer, but technically maybe you don't. It's in the sewer district.
Well, there's, yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sure they'd
there's,
let you run the main down
Yeah.
Water Street.
there's access one way or another. Like I say,
Yeah.
that strip between the two houses would bring it in.
Yeah, so you
And
have
you could
access.
easily go to the building with a pump
Yep.
line over, there's a million options.
There's a lot of different options, yep.
Yeah.
The septic that's there was working fine, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if you had to upgrade it, it was working fine for 4 employees.
Yeah, half, yeah.
And it's
If you're
only
gonna
a single,
use
the building itself is definitely antiquated. It would need serious upfit for what you're thinking of doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, I haven't been in that building in probably 30 years.
I've never been in it. I don't know about it.
It's a little different than this
Yeah.
one.
This is about the size of the offices.
Yeah.
All the
It's
offices.
more than what we have now, though,
Yeah.
let me tell you. More than we have.
So you're not operating out of any building now?
We're not, we have we are,
We have a
And
rec
interesting-
director, part-time, 20
Yeah.
hours a week, who is
19.
in a cubby area, or, what do they call it?
cubicle.
Cubicle area down at the DPW.
Now, who was
So he's
that?
about,
His name is Rob Thompson.
Okay.
He was brought on, he was hired as a temporary rec director. We had somebody that didn't return after last summer, and then he was brought in temporarily, and then he was hired full-time, or not full-time, he was hired permanently earlier in the year, and he's plugging forward. If you follow anything in town, I mean, Parks is such a small piece of it until we're not. And when the you-know-what hits the fan, then we're at the center of attention, like it happened last summer with Marshall Park. And, as a commission, we're now a 5-member board trying to move things forward and make progress. It's hard to do sometimes when you don't have you know, the facilities to do it, and everybody sort of looks at you and sort of sticks you on the back burner, but we can't show our worth without having a facility. So, you know, it's been an interesting few years, a lot of change. I've been on the commission now, I just wrapped up my 6th year. And there's been a lot of change in 6 years, but we still have a lot more to go, so, you know, little steps.
Now, the town hasn't approached you, or you haven't approached the town to try to help you out in any way?
We have,
You have?
we have.
And what have they done for you?
Well, right now, it's.
Deer in the headlights?
We got a lot of deer in the headlights, there's a lot of, you know, the TC Passios discussion floats around. You know, at the end of the day, we just need space, but, you know, they like to put us on the lower end of the pecking order. They like to put some of the more private groups, like the Boys and Girls Club, above us. Which is a shame, because we're here to serve the entire community, just, you know, not just a small handful of people. I anticipate a change in chair as we reconfigure the board next week, and I think we might see some, you know, further, you know, the next chair will probably take it further into trying to get attention for the Park Commission. I mean, I think Marshall Park was a huge step in the right direction when we got the funding to move forward on the master plan. That was, what, last year, Dave?
Yes.
Yeah. so-
Just curious,
Yeah.
are you looking basically to, because that T-ball field will be going away at Marshall Park, are you looking basically a first spot for a T-ball field? Is that what I'm going for here?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I mean, at a minimum, that field is gonna need a home. That
Okay.
age group is gonna need a home. We're also in a unique situation, and I'm probably gonna regret saying this as we're being recorded. Fitzgerald Field on Reservoir.
Right, that's what I was
That
popping in my
doesn't,
head.
that's not ours. That actually is Conservation Commission property that has been under the care and maintenance of the Parks Commission for decades.
Okay,
And it's, you know, again, you look at an overhead GIS on it, and you have to start wondering how much of that property is actually, the field is actually truly on our property, or if we've overstepped onto neighboring properties. You know, and that's one of those fields that, because conservation's involved, they're not as willing to wanna give up their field space. So when we are talking about doing work,
Don't we all live in the same town?
What is conservation doing with a baseball field?
we don't know. And if I can go back on GIS and open up various layers of the GIS map.
Has anybody asked them?
It's how the land might have been acquired, John.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
who cares? That
I know,
was 50
I know.
years ago.
Town land is town land is town land, but
Right.
there's so many different
Conservation-
factions in town that own and
There is-
control it.
And in the defense of conservation, there is an element with conservation that is different than, say, when the school district handed back TC Passios to the town. The difference with conservation is that when a piece of property is deemed conservation, it goes through the state and it goes through the legislature.
it's a- right,
If we
it's a
wanted to
whole
pull
different-
that from the town, from conservation, we probably have a good argument to do so, should we go down that road. It has to go through the legislature to do it, and it may not pass the legislature.
Probably a 5-year project.
Right.
I'm
by
just
itself.
kind of curious.
And I see conservation, I mean, right now, you're using the fields, it's been using the fields
Right,
forever. And that's probably how they look at it, it's easier to do it that way than to
Yep.
So who can play ball there?
anybody. Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
It's a public park.
It's a public
Public
park, it's a Lunenburg Little
Yeah.
League,
Yeah.
will fashion it. I'm just totally curious, I mean, we'll definitely look into this, but have you approached the town about any other, like, open space land that the town has?
So I can tell you what we do have for land, because this is not, we do have land.
Yeah.
When the Saliba property was purchased, 2 years ago, the north side is under conservation.
Okay.
And the south side is actually under Parks Commission.
What's the Saliba property on that?
It's off of Northfield Road by the golf course. It was a very large Table Rock.
Yeah.
It's up that direction.
Yeah.
It is right next to, the golf course.
Okay.
So if you're coming
I
down
know,
Northfield, on the right-hand side is the golf course
Yep.
building. We have the land, a section of the land on the left, and they have it on the right. It's just that park needs more master planning. It's not something that I think the town would bite for if we have Marshall Park on the table, and that's a
Yeah.
a
I'm
price
just-
tag with, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I-
we do have some other land, you know, again, we're sort of in one of those.
Obviously, if you could make this one work, it makes a lot more sense. You already got one field there, and I know as having multiple kids sometimes.
Would the selectmen have anything to do with what's going on?
They would have to
I mean, is
eventually.
it approval from the selectmen?
Well, this is just a start.
This
Well,
is
no, I'm
yeah.
just saying, I mean,
Yeah.
after this,
If there's gonna be a purchase or transfer, yes, the town, I
Okay.
believe, and the selectmen need to get
I'll
involved.
have to look at the bylaws.
Yeah,
They probably would get involved in it, but it's kind of interesting that in the Mass General laws, the wording that is mentioned in our charter gives the Parks Commission quite a bit of leeway and power to design parks, improve parks. I'm not so sure it's purchase property or transfer property, but it gives, there's some power in there. It's just ignored most of the time.
Well, like I said, Dave, what I definitely suggest is let's, if you could get a map.
Sure.
And,
Yep.
be honest, you can draw a little
Yeah.
wish list on it,
Yeah.
and we can take a look at it.
well, I'm good, I can even throw like,
You know.
I mean, I can take his pie in the sky and my realistic ideas
Sure.
and make two different maps.
Yep. Right, yeah, I
You know,
know.
and sort of show
No,
what
it makes sense.
what it
Yeah.
could look like, and,
Yeah.
you know, where it would fit and what we would need, whether it be just for T-ball field with some parking spots.
Sure.
Because again, I'm not, as somebody that has been on this commission for as long as I have in the direction that we've moved in the last 5 or 6 years, we try to play nice in the sandbox with everybody. We don't try to operate as a one-man show. So, you know, it would be, I'd like to throw it out to everybody and just have the
Sure.
conversations, and if nothing comes of it, then nothing comes of it.
I mean, I will say that I find that property that we have over there is of value to this water department, and I mean, I'm not saying, like, no way, I mean, we can definitely
Yeah.
talk about it, but like, you know, if it was someone wanted to take that over, I'd be like, absolutely not. I mean, we still use that, it's a lot of storage facility there, it's the way we work.
And I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing us buy it. Dave probably won't agree. Because I just don't think, you know, you guys as a freestanding enterprise group, or however it works, the terminology works, why would you want to give up a piece of land?
Well, I mean,
You
if
know?
at the same time from our end, I mean, this it's our due diligence to make this water department money to save the, you know, I mean, there's a purpose there, but I mean, by all means, we'll entertain it, we'll take a look at it, and if it's something that, like, you know, that would greatly benefit you with a minimal loss to us, I mean, I wouldn't see too big a deal about it, but, you know, let's take a look at it, you
I
know?
mean, we'll pull
you know, the
together
water
some stuff.
district over many, many back years have bent over backwards for the town of Lunenburg. But the town of Lunenburg hasn't bent over at all for us.
But we're still willing to work with it.
Yes, we are.
John, I don't disagree with you. A lot of bridges have been burned.
I tell
That's
you, we
right.
like to, again, I stand by that, we like to play nice with everybody, we're trying to, you know, we're not trying to be the one-man show out here,
Yeah.
we're not,
Well, so do we, but it doesn't, it doesn't usually come around.
doesn't, but, you know, hopefully at some point it, you know,
It
will
will,
benefit
but
everybody.
that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I wanted to bring that up so everybody knows what the water
Understood.
district has done for
Do you
this
wanna put a
town.
pool over there? If you guys wanna build a pool over there, charge membership, we'll run it for you. No?
Ready, Fran?
We have the water.
That could be the 1.7 acres on the other side of the driveway.
That's right,
We'll
that's
run it
right.
for you.
Right, so-
All right, so
Thank you.
just even kind of come back to us, I agree with Mr. Woodward, if you come back with kind of like this would be nice, but if we could add this would be better, and add this would be great, and just
Yeah.
kind of see, and I'd be interested, I'm gonna look at the GIS and kind of see how that's
Yeah.
mapped out.
And I
see if
believe,
it's something we can
Dave,
do.
you emailed me, or it was either to the Loon Water or to my email, Christie at Lunenburg Water.
Yeah.
So if you need to reach me, I think he CC'd you on the email and everything,
Yeah, I
so if you
think
need
so,
to
yeah.
reach us, I can forward everything to the
Watch out for the
commissioners.
Lunenburg emails,
What is
that
going
it's a
on?
disaster with this
Yeah.
changeover.
Not
They're
us,
going to
I know water district
lunenburgmass.gov.
yeah,
And the paid employee or the town employees have been swapped over and us boards have not.
But if you send an
So-
email to their old email address, supposedly it doesn't go through.
And
If you
yeah,
wanna give
and-
Parks Commission a water district, if you wanna take the Parks Commission under the water district,
oh, we're going
I
even
mean,
more.
Oh, Easy,
Oh, my goodness.
easy.
My head just went.
Well, you have my information, so if you guys
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to reach me, and then I
Yeah.
can forward stuff on if anything
Thank you
comes
so
up.
much. I like your 4 o'clock in the afternoon meetings. These are, you're gonna take some lessons, Dave.
Well, if everybody's available, that's typically, and we try to be accommodating, sometimes we have people that can't come in and we'll move it back, but,
Yeah,
you know, it seems to work very well for us.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. Well, thank
Mark,
you.
I need to have a conversation with you outside of this setting.
Okay.
In the near future.
Yep.
Is it better for me to call you or you call me when you're available?
Either or.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
It'll be very short.
Yeah, I'll be
Take
available
care.
tonight if you wanna give me a shout after 6.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. All right, do we want to discuss that further, wait and see what kind of options and kind of look at it ourselves and then?
I'd like to wait till they come back in with some kind of
Yeah.
Like the land across the street, that was when Gary Lorden did the development, we hadn't built this building, we hadn't decided on this yet. So at that time, we were considering doing a new building over there.
What
So
is,
that's why he gave that land
is
to
there
us.
something in that land deed that restricts us from doing anything like
We
you're talking
could,
about?
he deeded it to us. If we decided that we don't want that land, we can't sell it. We
Okay.
have to give it to the town.
Okay,
So there was a chain that had to be followed, so.
okay, but
Once again,
we can, that doesn't say we can't work out an agreement to let them use it.
Yes, right. So, yeah, so we'd still keep ownership. We don't pay tax, I think we pay a little bit of taxes to the city of Leominster.
Well, they
Yeah.
wouldn't pay any taxes either.
Yeah.
Park
Right.
to park.
Like I said, let's just look at it and
Yeah,
not,
see.
cut off a piece of, like something that we can't, like if.
Right,
if this is-
I agree, we're still utilizing it.
Right, yeah.
And utilizing the property and I, as long as it doesn't affect any of the uses that we're
Sure.
currently doing over there. something
But
like
if
that.
they do in that wooded area behind it,
Yeah, yeah.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Let's see what, if there's like
Yeah,
this
we'll
little
see.
sliver out back
Yeah.
that we're not gonna use,
I'm
like,
with
I
you.
wouldn't have a problem, but
Yep.
I don't think, I don't think giving up any office space in that building, I don't even think they could use it. I think it's,
Not what we're currently still using the building,
No,
I don't see any kind of a shared
yeah.
use.
well,
No.
I mean, would you open this little room up for them?
If they wanted to have it, you mean if they wanted to have their meetings here?
Or something, yeah.
If they did and we could coordinate it through, you, that it was either, it would have to be either during the day or somebody'd have to be here when they had their meetings.
But
Well,
we have a
we
key
have-
structure.
yeah,
The
we do.
keys can let you in one way and nowhere else.
Yeah, so we can
So-
lock every door, including
We
over
could see, I
here,
mean,
Fran's back there.
There are
Yeah.
options that, which I'm kinda
Yeah.
shocked for them to have their meetings, there's a library, there's
there's-
the town
there's,
hall meeting office, there's meeting
Ritter
rooms
building.
in the,
like, why wouldn't they go downstairs in the Ritter building?
yeah, so there are options, but if they don't have any of
Well-
those options, then yeah, I'd be open to
All right.
something like that.
I'm not shutting it down, but I feel this,
I feel there's a lot of
Tons out
options,
there,
yeah.
town has a couple of buildings around.
Really? All right, so now we move on, we have, review and approve the PFAS litigation. I read through what you sent me. I don't know if anybody else had a chance. This is a class action,
Yes.
so this is one attorney taking on all the PFAS people
Right.
for
It's-
everybody else.
It's numerous towns tied to, actually, the
Yeah,
list is in
if
the.
anybody wants to look at it, so it's similar to the MTV.
MTV, same people that did it. We did very well on that.
Yeah, I would think with what we're trying to do and the studies we're trying to, move forward on, I would think that it'd be great to get some extra money.
Yeah, so this is just the base level thing, and I spoke to her for a long time on the phone, and she was asking specifics of where do we believe we got it, how did the contamination take place? And all I said was, I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, if they were near a fire department training facility, boom, there's your focus. So she wasn't focusing us down to one specific road for the lawsuit. It was open to everybody, and she felt that was the safest thing for us.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think there's anything that you can point to the reason for the contamination
Yeah,
where
we
we
don't
have
have
it.
a
I
smoke
mean,
detector.
we have levels of PFAS on Lancaster Ave, correct?
Every well except for well number 4 has a detect. All of them are low except for the only one that has a high
Right,
detect.
but just because they're a detect, just because they're just a detect now, doesn't mean that down the road, excuse me, that it's not gonna
Yes.
elevate.
Or they lower the detect level.
What?
So when we did the MTBE, we had detects everywhere, but there was nothing of a level that would be concerning for drinking.
I'm just curious, is there such thing as like a zero level? Because I would think there's not. I feel like PFAS, has like pretty much touched the entire world's water table in some way.
Well, like well number 4, they gave it actual non-detected.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
Do you know what
There's
that, like,
all different little things they're
Right,
testing for.
Sure.
So, but the specific ones they look at was non-detected.
Okay.
So, but they might test for 30, but they look at these specific 6,
Okay.
I believe it is.
Okay.
So out of those 6, well number 4 didn't have that.
Okay.
But all the other ones did pretty good on.
To the people on camera, this is going to become an issue for the Lunenburg Water District at some
Big
point.
time.
I certainly hope that we can act
Well,
appropriately now.
we are in a position to be ahead of it, where there are some communities that are
Absolutely.
already affected
Yeah.
big time by it.
And it's going to be unfortunately a large cost, and it's going to unfortunately go right to the consumer, because there's no way without
Yeah.
help we can do it. So
Yep.
Hey, it is what it is, we have no control.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that and entering into the agreement, because what is it, you need to sign off on it, or we need to vote for you to sign off?
Vote either for me to sign or the chairman to sign.
Didn't we do that last meeting?
That wasn't for that
that
one.
was
No, that was another agreement.
Yeah, what was that one for?
that was.
That's good.
I can look in the minutes if we need.
I thought I was the only one with bad memory.
So, I guess we'd either need a motion for myself or you, or authorizing us, whoever the authority needs to be, to sign a document for what
I
that
think
is.
she was looking for the board to sign it. So
Okay.
if you guys vote to have the chairman sign, the board agrees to pursue that and authorize the chairman to sign, something like that.
I make a motion to sign said document.
All right, so we have a motion to sign, to
The chairman to
authorize the
sign.
chairman to sign the agreement, or the
Cross litigation.
PFAS litigation, and then get on board with a class action lawsuit. Do we have any discussion on that? We've already discussed it to death. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So tell me where I need to sign it. Is there something I
I
need
think
to
it's right
sign?
at the end.
And they were very open and welcome to come answer any questions.
I would say if this progressed to another level, that's
This is
just
it.
keeping us communicating.
This is just a kickoff to get them.
Yeah, well, are they trying to like a pinpoint a source type of thing, or is this just a general?
This is general. If they could pinpoint a source, they would pinpoint that
Understood.
and target that.
Yep.
But in our case, they're pretty much gonna go after the manufacturers of the PFAS.
Sure.
You know, whoever made, everybody. I mean,
Everybody.
so, like with the MTBE, they went after the gas suppliers who put it in the gas. And that was the same kind of thing where the soils didn't catch it. Typically, when you get a contaminant, you put it through soil.
Correct.
It only goes so far and the soil stops. In these particular cases, nothing stops, it just
Sure.
keeps
It's
going.
like, yeah, it's like,
Until it's gone. MTBE,
It's
no
interesting, you
detects
see some of
MTBE anymore.
all
So,
these, the different
Hopefully
companies
this
that
has the
they're naming.
same
Yeah.
yeah.
process.
Chem-Design at a plant in Fitchburg.
Oh,
Tyco.
I've seen a page in there somewhere for signatures for the kid.
I'm gonna go through every one of these things, John. and
Well, you know it's gonna be in the back. After you go through every one
every
of
one
them.
of them. We can start on old business if we want, while I'm trying to find a page to sign here. I think we had, the Hickory Hills treatment is one of the other old business things we're working on. Are we waiting on,
I haven't received any emails. They
So
said they were
it's
gonna.
kind of tied to this because she was asking who we were going to use as a consulting engineering firm for the PFAS treatment. And I told her we had not yet decided, but I think we should decide and pick somebody.
Okay.
Okay, there's no signature page on this. is there?
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have her send a new one anyway, because she's got some highlighted spots on.
Okay, well,
So
you
if you guys
can
are
just come in
approved
and
to
sign.
sign,
You're
Yeah,
already
just let me know I'll
approved.
come in and
Okay.
sign.
So as far as Hickory Hills, they want us to narrow down the pilot study that we would want.
Yes.
Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, so we would design a pilot study.
Yep.
And so when you do a pilot study, not only does it have to go through us,
Right.
it has to go through DEP
Correct.
for approval.
Yeah.
And Hickory Hills wanted just items in there that, that
And
they could oversee and that would help them justify the impacts of lake non-existent.
Right, did they have a list though they were gonna send us on those?
She was gonna do up a list of things, documents stated everything we talked about and more of an
I mean,
agreement.
just simply what they want us to see, cause we need to bring in whoever we're gonna hire to do the study and make sure it all makes sense.
Right.
And then they draft a proposal for us, don't they, for the study and what's gonna be included and how it's gonna be done.
So, yes.
So
Yep.
I think if we just, can we reach out and see if a simple list? 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, if they wanna do a 10-page document on everything we discussed, that's great. But how about just 10 line items, we wanna see this, and this covered? And that doesn't mean they can't come back to us with something else later. But before we finalize this
Right.
thing, something for
Before
us
we
to
basically go out there and start
pursuing. yeah.
pursuing this, you're right. I'd like to have some, I guess, of their wish list guidelines of what their concerns are. In some sort of document that will gladly make sure that we bother, but for us to start going through this process, which I think is gonna take a little bit of time, I'd like to have some kind of assurances on this end that we're not wasting our time on this.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And, like I said,
Well,
we all know that.
they want them on their end, we want them on our end just as well, that, yeah, we're not gonna go through all this work and at the 19th hour have everybody,
Exactly, so
Say no
just
and-
give us a list of what you're expecting,
Right.
and we will tailor
well, at least we can,
we can make sure it's included
Yeah.
in whatever pilot study we end up in. I don't want to be like, hey, this pilot study we like this one. I mean, we sat through and listened to, this looks great, and they'd be like, oh, well, it doesn't have that. Like, oh, okay, like we could do this for a year.
yeah.
I'd just like to get some,
Yep.
get the rules down now, and we'll make that happen.
So I would, if we could request maybe bullet points from them that we could forward to whoever we're gonna use for the engineering firm and have them draft up something that we can send to them.
Okay.
I think is a way, as long as, because I believe they were at a point where we're all in agreement to move forward.
Well, then they backed off at the last meeting, so I think they got redirected at the last meeting, I'm not sure, but,
Okay.
I think if we just keep putting on the meeting and,
Well, I think it's something that's definitely worth it for the rest of the district to continue to discuss because, we're gonna run into this.
Yes.
As it was said before, down the road. So I'd rather run into it down the road or run into it now.
Yeah.
When we know there's funding available
I agree.
to help us and assist the residents versus it all being the burden of the residents if we wait too long.
Correct.
So that's where I am with that. Anybody else have anything on the Hickory Hills treatment? We'll just follow up at the next meeting. Okay, other old business, we have engineering consultants.
Okay, yeah, so,
Kinda ties it.
yeah,
Signs
so,
in.
yeah, so.
Is there anybody new? I mean,
No, I just put it on there for us, I mean, it's
Because
all kind of tied
at some point, we gotta
together.
pick one, because
Right.
Yeah.
if we're gonna submit stuff for them to propose, I mean, we don't wanna send that to everybody, because that's a ton of work.
That's a ton of
So we wanna have the people who are gonna do it for us.
well, I
take
think
two
a couple of criteria that we need to keep in mind is the first guy that came and talked to us about it's fairly. I think whatever we do for a pilot study needs a fairly low footprint, small size
Correct.
type of thing. I have been in favor. And I think a lot of it says on a longer pilot study of 2 years ish. At the same time, where we were able to actually kind of use that water and run it through and make get some use out of it. These pilot studies are expensive. So I think whatever we decide on, we maybe all of us should just sit down and be like, we need to make sure we have these things. You know, the one guy was talking about the 30-foot high thing. I don't know, that's not gonna work.
Right, right.
You know, I like Time Bonnet that they had a very
I
good-
thought they'd put the needs of the study all together in a
Right.
neat package for
Yep.
us. So,
The other thing I'd been thinking about is it'd be nice to have a firm like we had talked about, because I'm finding we get emails. I probably get 2 or 3 emails a day, Mass Water Works, you know, all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. There are so many different grants out there that I'm scheduled for 2 Zooms right now. One is just for, it's a small, like up to, I forget what the dollar amount was, but it's a small amount of funding basically for you to educate your residents on PFAS.
I think that'd be fantastic.
So I'm gonna go to that Zoom. There's a
Yeah.
whole nother Zoom about like changing, you know, upgrading your energy efficient, like up to $200,000 per district or per department for like, I was looking into some of the past ones. Some of them are even just like new pumps because they're more energy efficient for your wells, for your, you know what I mean, or solar panels or stuff like that. And I feel that's what we had talked about when we were meeting with the
Correct.
engineers, is finding a firm that's
Speaks this language.
that can
They
say,
know how
hey
to
guys,
navigate.
and that grant one just got approved
Right.
a couple weeks ago. So instead of waiting for this email to come out, they're like, hey, we got this going.
Yeah.
You guys, what do you guys need? What do you need?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that would be smart on our end to
I
look
would
to.
love to see this whole thing, and I believe we could almost roll this all together if we could get this approved, pick a pilot study, and in the course of doing this, I believe it will unlock a lot of doors that will
Yeah.
show us, you know, I mean,
I
there's,
agree.
Yep.
there's tons of benefits out there, and you're right. I don't care how good you are, you can't, no one person can sit there and find all this, just,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, you scroll through a 3-page email
Right.
of classes, what the roundtable talk was, and then you find that one. Ooh, that one actually stood out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not like
Right, because the 90%
it's not this
of them
big
don't
thing.
apply to us, so
Yeah.
we don't, you know, we all sit in these meetings like,
Yeah.
about, oh, that, however.
Yeah.
To find that needle in the haystack is
Yep.
what we do need
Yeah.
some of that.
So are we gonna pick ourselves an engineer, or is this something you wanna wait till the next meeting? Or-
I have-
I'm up for moving on. I mean,
I have no problem maybe not, you know, maybe not locking in, but looking at project-wise, like maybe we consider what we're trying to do with this PFAS study, consider an engineer and then see what they do from that. And
Neil?
if they have more to bring to the table, they should be bringing it to the table along with that study, because that would push us in that
Okay,
direction.
so-
The
so
more
do
you
you
do
wanna
for
wait-
me, the more I do for you, the more we do with you.
So do we wanna wait till get the outline of what the Hickory Hills people wanna see? And then at that point, we pick an engineering firm to present that to have them use that as a part of their proposal? Or do you wanna pick someone now and then we know who?
I gotta say, what I would like to do is, we have a meeting in 2 weeks.
Yep.
I am hoping that Hickory Hills people will get back to us in that time frame, and I would like to have that information first. If
Okay.
for some reason we have not heard any response from them, in 2 weeks, let's pick one. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully we have that information that we can tie that
But
together.
even if we don't get their information,
Right.
the engine, if you pick the Ty and Bond, because he was right on top of all
Correct.
that, the staff gauges, lake levels, and so I think they would probably present one that they would accept anyway. But you know,
Yeah.
but we'll still pass it through them before we
Right.
would approve it. We
I'd like to
just-
give them an opportunity to give their input.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know.
But we could still pick somebody that we wanted
Sure.
to go with at this point. And, you know,
Well, if we're picking, I like Time Bond. I thought,
Yeah.
I thought there was,
that's-
their presentation was more tuned into what we need.
that's kind of where I was leading, and I think they understood it, the situation that we're in, and not necessarily that they're just dealing with us.
Right.
So,
I gotta be honest, all of them, every one of them, like, oh, that one, they all were very good.
They all had
There
their
was-
good points.
They
Yeah.
all had very good points.
Yeah.
I do think that they seem to be,
Well, we could recommend picking him and let him come back in and go through any other things we have and just yes or no, well.
So do you want, if Hickory Hills, if we send an email to them saying, you know, how we had our meeting wondering if you could get us this information, forward that to say Ty and Bond, if that's
I
what you
would-
guys
I
have
would-
said.
I would-
And say,
yeah.
hey, is there some type of idea that what you could come to us again, we'll invite Hickory Hills here again.
And they,
And a rough idea of what
on
we could be
what we
looking
would,
at.
what we would do for a study.
For a study.
Yes, based
Yeah.
on what we gave you, what makes sense and what can we accomplish.
Yeah.
Are there meetings open to the public, Hickory Hills?
No.
I don't think so.
No, they're a private organization.
So there's.
I can't even
there's
get on
a
their
little-
Facebook.
There's a little clan that goes in there and decides for the whole lake. What's gonna happen?
I think if we're going the right way, the board, and if I would assume that the residents agree with the board of Hickory Hills if they're members?
Half of the residents probably don't even know what this is even happening.
Well, then that's our job to make sure that the Lunenburg Water District understands what's going on. Now, I'm just kind of curious, I don't know how exactly this works, that we voted on this on our last annual meeting and it got turned down. Nothing honestly to do with Hickory Hills other than that they voted. If we wanted to put this in play, how do we go about doing?
We have to have a special meeting.
Okay,
So you-
So
you
it's
just
gotta be
call-
either an annual meeting or a special meeting, but.
it has to be voted on.
Because of
You
the,
guys vote to call a special meeting,
right.
Okay, understood,
and
I
it takes
think-
2 weeks to call.
understood.
I think all the residents down at Hickory Hills should call us so we can tell them what exactly is going on with this PFAS in their water that they're drinking in this, not drinking, but they're swimming in. The
Well,
kids
we
are
don't know
swimming.
that yet. Did
this
we
is-
need a study? Did we test the
Well, we're trying
PFAS
to
in
get
the
a
water?
study, we're trying to get a study so
Well,
we can
we
find
know it's in
out.
our well, and from the water
Yeah,
distribution, it's in our best interest to get that well turned on and clean up the PFAS 100%.
Well, this is my hope, looking into that grant, in a week or two, that that's what it's about. It's about educating your residents and getting them the information, whether that's we
Right.
pay for television, you pay for newspaper, you pay for something, so that we can get the word out, because it's obviously not
Yes,
getting out there
it's,
enough.
Unfortunately, I feel like this whole process, and people that watch this, watch back a couple meetings, I feel like the information that's been, that with the telephone game it's one way, but the actual information which has been presented in these meetings is not really making it to the town, which is unfortunate, but
No.
you know, I understand how it does happen. You know, it's nothing to do with Hickory Hills, it has to do with the water quality of the Lunenburg Water District, which includes a lot more than just Hickory Hills.
Right.
And how do we get that? So hopefully people listen and tune in and call up.
And this is still just a study.
Correct.
We have no plans on what we can do until we
Because we
study it.
don't know.
And I think we've tried to be inclusive and understanding of their position. They understand our position. And I think if we can get some sort of a study, then we know.
It's gonna answer
We
a
know
lot
what's
of
going on.
questions. A lot of questions.
So without the study,
Right.
we can't do anything.
well, I think that there's a small group of people that are putting a kibosh on safe drinking water in the town because of what's going on with this PFAS stuff.
I think they're trying to protect their interests, and I think that we've probably said it in our last few meetings and what we've discussed, that we understand their interests, they understand our interests. I think a lot more is understood now, hopefully, and that we can move forward with this study, which will benefit everybody
Let's hope so.
to get the information we need. So, do we need a vote to go with Ty and Bond for this project as we move forward?
It wouldn't hurt if you get a vote to make them, I think the word they use is consulting engineering firm.
Yeah.
Right, so I would look to probably just from a roll call
Well, you
standard.
could ask for
or-
a motion to accept
Yeah,
Ty and Bond as your engineering consultant firm for regards to PFAS removal at the Hickory Hills well.
Did you just say so? moved?
Still good.
Okay, so basically, Mr. Woodward made a motion that we're gonna use Ty and Bond as our consulting engineer for the, moving forward for the PFAS study on Hickory Hills well and giving us our proposals on what that would be. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, when this,
Aye.
Okay.
We said it together. We were
Majority
unanimous.
vote.
I
when
heard,
if this goes forward, which I hope it does, when they put them temporary filters or whatever they're gonna put in down there, temporary or not temp, for what, a couple of years?
Yeah.
Are we gonna be able to use that well then?
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have
That's
to,
part of it.
at the minimum, at
Yeah,
whatever
to see how
the,
this
whatever
is
the
working.
rates are to see how it's working. It's a
Okay.
long-term study.
But there-
But we're not it's not gonna be high volume.
No.
It
but there
needs-
was different studies. Somewhere they brought in this little package plan where they just trickled water through.
Right.
And there's other
We-
ones that they ran at full
And that's what
capacity.
we're talking about, and that's what we were doing before. I would be in favor of the one that actually ran the pump. I know it's at a lower rate, but it's a usable 400
What
gallons.
should, yeah, because then how are you gonna
Because-
see how it affects? the-
Because
right.
the other thing is, we haven't used that well, you know, like you said, the well's go stagnant, so there's a whole study that, there's a whole
Right,
pilot
so
study.
I would go towards what the engineer's gonna present to us
Yeah,
and
we'll see
how
what
they
he
would do
says.
it.
Right.
Yep. Maybe we'll throw 3 ways at you and you guys
Right,
pick whatever
and
one
once
you want.
again, and we can present this to the residents and make sure that everybody in the water district is happy with the way this is going to be tested, and we'll go from there.
Okay. We still have personal policies and benefits. Do you have like something you wanna
If you-
focus on that? Cause we can't keep kiboshing it.
Yeah, I mean, this was the old, that was the revised. The only difference was this one didn't dictate the vacation time for full-time employees. Do we want it to now officially say that full-time employees for vacation?
Okay. Why don't can you send us both copies of these?
And I did already, but I will again.
And then for our next meeting, let's say that we're gonna make some sort of
We'll vote on that
policy.
next
Can
meeting.
you give one to John? 'Cause
You know what, I'll make copies, when we leave,
Okay.
so you can each have them.
You don't email
But
them?
those were the big ones, the big ones were
No.
just, well, small ones is wording. Big ones was, the health insurance
Yep.
was the, if you guys wanted to do that, buyback program.
Yep.
So, but that was really it, it's the buyback program, it was changes in wording, full-time employees,
And then we
part-time
got
employees.
the vacation, not the holidays.
Oh, are we
June.
really have to add that June?
I think it's a federal holiday.
Yeah.
When is that? So do we actually, well, it's,
I would add that. If you have to add that, you add that and cut another one.
What's
Well,
that?
what's
what
it
do we-
saying? You.
It's
well,
not
this is
on
what
our
you need to do.
schedule right now,
I
so
believe that
are
you
we-
need to add it, and then you need to come up with a
policy.
a policy of which holidays do you want off.
Cause there are
It's
some,
gotta be, you know,
we
like,
don't get it off this year though, right? Cause it's not on our.
well, these are already paid holidays. It has to be an observed
We're
holiday.
talking about.
Doesn't necessarily have
When
to
is
be a
this
paid.
in a little
When
while.
is it?
my
The
birthday?
Juneteenth?
Yeah.
When is it, the 20th?
So that's a little bit for you to bring to us, figure out the holiday
yeah,
and how we have to do it. One easy way is just call the town and see how they're doing.
I know that other municipalities, basically pool them, and you get, I'm making it up, maybe it's 8 a year, like with my wife,
Yeah.
they don't have Veterans Day off, but they have 4th of July off, or there's something like that, there's.
Or they
Yeah.
have floating holidays or
Well,
something.
no, it's universal. It's
Yeah.
they're all agreeing. It's like we're going to
Yeah.
take this whole, but you don't get every birthday day
Yeah,
holiday
yeah.
off. You only get 8, and you pick the 8 that you want. So
Well, just, you know what, and maybe that's what I'll do. I'll call the town,
Just see what.
see what they have, present it to you and say, all right, this is what we had. These are the other federal holidays. Do you want to cut some or leave them, or what do you want?
No.
I'm curious too, and I know we've talked about this. This is definitely off subject and not on that. Does the town have a like an employee handbook, a policy handbook? I'm just curious if they do.
I don't know.
Just a-
I can ask.
No, I know that I've signed a code of conduct thing for them, and there are but other than that, I think each department is responsible for what they.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Does the
Well, give
highway
their
department have any? I mean, I'm just curious
Yeah.
if there's anything.
Good
out there,
question.
You know,
Yeah, I can ask.
See what they got.
I'm a cut and paste guy. You know, I don't want
Yep.
Yes.
So old business is done. Commissioner superintendent additions.
The only one I have is, I think you're all aware, I think most of you stopped by, the broken main on Townsend Harbor Road, which actually ended up being 2 main breaks it was a short little stub. That little stub was in the years back was the intended feed pipe for Hickory Hills. But when the Hickory Hills project actually went in, we did a new 12-inch line. So that line just was a dead end line that just stubbed down there. So anyway, so to shut that section off, we had to shut off all of Hickory Hills and all of that whole side of town, Cortland Circle, Elmwood, all of Mass Ave. So we had a very large shutdown. So what I've been looking at is the town GIS mapping and looking at the end of Brookview to Island Road. It's 600 feet, so I got calls out for a directional drill to see, how, because we get directional drill under everything, no one even would know we're there. So we'll check in on pricing, then I can call, it's only two landowners, and, see what we can do for an
We need
easement
to get
kind
an
of thing.
easement, yeah. I think that'd be a great idea, cause at least for that area, I mean, I don't know if you guys must know, and hopefully people at home know, that Hickory Hill's a dead end.
Right.
So as soon as it goes off of Townsend Harbor Road, it doesn't loop through anywhere. So anything happens, all of Hickory Hill is down.
I need water maintenance generality, is
Yeah.
that a word? Like a loop
Loop.
for the people at home. So what we're looking to do is about a 600-foot section where 2 water lines are very close to each other. If we could connect those two, for example, when that Townsend Harbor break, you could shut it off here because it was only feeding this way. Now we could feed
Backward.
the other.
Back feed
So
from,
instead
yeah.
of,
And we don't need a big large line. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 12-inch main on Island, it's an 8-inch main on Brookview. So it's just to backfeed.
Right.
So if it was a 6 or an 8, we don't need anything. I mean, I don't think the cost difference would be a whole lot.
I was about to say, if you're gonna go in there and do it,
Yeah,
I'd
so-
do 80. Yeah.
So, I mean, we did directional drill on Reservoir Road, 16-inch main. So they ran a little machine through and pulled the 16-inch pipe back. So it's probably not.
I definitely.
I would say that I would err on the size of at least the smallest line, to stay at least that size.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what he gets for. I told him 6 or 8 inch. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
waiting to hear back, and then we'll see what we can do. So there's if it's very expensive for the directional drill, it'd be more landowners that we'd have to go through for easements, but it'd be more dry land digging where we'd manually lay the pipe and then a smaller directional drill. But I think the easiest, quickest way is directional drill as much as we could.
Sure.
Straight shot, 600 feet total. And I'm thinking the actual directional drill part, because we would dig off of Island Road, go to a certain distance, with the wetlands, go through what we can, as far as we can, and then
Yeah.
directional drill from there, so.
We dig
so-
up to the basic
Certain-
furthest point that we kind of can.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yep. So
I'd love to see a number on that because I think that would be a huge
Yep.
improvement.
So, because where we want to replace Mass Ave, this will be beneficial, so we can tighten that little shutdown section, cut in some new valves, and we can do some.
So
some other
not
things.
to dig or anything, but definitely something you wanna notify Hickory Hills, we're thinking of doing something down there.
Why?
Where we, there's been a few things that we haven't notified them, so I would think that we might wanna notify
Well,
them.
that one I
We're
think we
thinking
have to,
about it.
because those are not town roads. The town owns the actual hot top, all the drainage,
Oh,
everything
correct.
underneath is them. So the highway fixes a drainage pipe, they're supposed to pay
So
for it.
I would just notify.
So we need that permission to actually dig in the road anyway.
So we just need to let them know that we're moving forward with this.
Well, we'll
And if
see
they
how it
have any
goes.
concerns.
Yep, we'll see how it goes with the directional drilling. If you
I would think
Well,
that
I mean,
know that, and then we'll.
there's
we'll-
to me, there'd be no concerns if I knew every time the water broke on Townsend Harbor Road or somewhere, I could still
Mass
turn my
Ave.
water on. Yeah.
Yes, that's
not
all.
gonna help me out any of that.
No, whatever.
Yeah, so that whole area, all of Hickory Hill is fed from a 1939 8-inch transite water main coming down Mass Ave.
And that's part of the Mass Ave main we wanted to repair.
That is what we wanted.
Yes.
Yes. So when that project went in, first part of Hickory Hills, the engineers wanted a new main laid down Whiting Street and down Mass Ave, 12-inch main to feed Hickory Hills. And that piece didn't get done because it was too much money to do it. So we ended up doing a cheap way, which was not the right way to do it. So now we're paying for it, so,
Pay now, pay later.
yep, exactly.
We're paying later.
Paying way more later.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I like that idea.
Okay, so I
What
got
else do-
one other thing too.
Yep.
So the project on Leominster Shirley Road, where they wanna extend the main. Is there any, incentives or things that we could help the developers that wanna put in that pipe to help offset some of the costs? You know, they, you know, cause it's a ton of money for them to do it, it's a benefit to the water district. So I don't know of any, other than maybe a land swap kinda thing. I didn't know if you guys had any kinda
Waive
thoughts.
their connection fee.
Well, for land, that's my thing, connection fee for land swap, cause I mean, if you waive the connection fee, then you kinda gotta waive for everybody
Aren't
else.
they gonna benefit from that too?
Well, they're gonna benefit it, but they're paying for it.
I mean, there's definitely an advantage on our end of that going in.
Right.
You know, there's no doubt about
Well,
it.
there's advantage,
What advantage
anytime you can
would
put
that
additional water line in, there's advantage to
Because someone else is
to us and the public,
Right.
cause you're
Someone else
adding
is gonna-
fire protection and,
Someone else is gonna, we just talked about, wish we had a 12-inch main going down Mass Ave. Well, someone's gonna
Right.
do it for us.
Yeah.
Not down Mass Ave, but you know, who knows in the
Right.
future what happens in that area? I don't know.
but typically when a developer or somebody adds on, we still end up charging connection fees.
Correct.
So,
How long is that addition, or extension? It's pretty far, isn't it?
I think it was like 3,000.
Yeah, that's,
Now that's going from Keating's office,
Reservoir Road to, just past Fort Pond Road, like probably 500 feet past
Fort Pond Road,
So
so it's going
behind
down Route
Powell.
70?
no, it's going to
Past Route 7.
past Route 70, so basically from Keating's to,
Oh, so
To
Route
railroad.
7 is Fort Pond Road.
Right.
Oh,
So-
all right, I thought, yeah. So what could go down there, you know, I'm just trying to see the pros and cons, but the land is all taken up down there, down to Fort Pond Road and passed up to the bridge. There's nothing, no more land there. It's all built
Right.
on.
right, but if, we've never, I don't know what we could do, cause we haven't done anything in the past. If somebody,
agree.
if somebody wants a main, they put the main in, they incur all the expense, and then they pay the connection fees. That's, unfortunately, that's how it's really, if there is some way that we could do something, I don't
There
know,
was-
something with
as
some.
I understand, this building's only doing 2 connections, a 4-inch and a 2-inch or something to that effect, or?
Well, from what I understand at this point is two people are paying for the extension of the water main.
Okay.
But in their proposal, they were doing stubs for all the properties along the way, because that's the right thing to do.
Okay,
you know?
understood.
But they should
But-
charge the people for those.
Well, no, but
They could, but they.
could, but they're
yeah,
not.
No, right, so how much, do you have any idea what the price on that was?
No, I mean,
No.
no,
It's
I
a
mean,
all right.
private, it's a private job, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's no prevailing wage.
But you know, the water district can't keep taking it on.
No, I mean, I appreciate all that somebody's trying to do and do
Yeah.
the extension, but there's, and then I'm searching in my head a way I'd love to help anybody out that's doing something that's gonna benefit
with
the takers of the district, but I don't know if there's, you know, looking historically and how we've done things, and if
my
there's
words
much
is,
we can do.
yeah, that was my words. You know, there's really nothing I can think of that we could help you with.
I'd love,
No, who's,
You know.
we got Waverly down there, right?
yeah.
Just before the bridge on the
I
right.
think it's mainly so the, used to be the, I forget what that, now it's GVC Construction or something, there's a
Yeah, yeah.
construction company.
Yeah.
So there's a few good commercial lots,
Yeah.
and, you know, them putting the main in is definitely going to allow them some things that they can do. It's definitely gonna increase the value of their property. We've never really done anything historically, never waived connection fees. You know,
Well, I mean, when they put this whole bid together themselves, that was in there.
That was, yeah, I mean, we've never really changed anything, as much as I'd love to help somebody out, but once you do it one spot,
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You'd have to do it somewhere, you'd have to do it anywhere else if somebody wants to put a main in, and yes, it does benefit the district, but it also benefits the property owners.
Now, see, I don't think it's gonna benefit the district as much as it's gonna benefit the property owners. All we're gonna get out of the whole thing is a water bill.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna,
And
we're gonna.
connection
we're-
fee,
we're-
maybe.
We're gonna get a connection fee and we're gonna get the usage and that's gonna be additional usage.
But
and-
those,
and
all
income.
those buildings along there, all those businesses or however many there's there, they're gonna connect onto
Oh,
is gonna lower their fire insurance.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a ton for
So
us
they're going to
because it's
four,
all fire protection.
they're going to Four Pond Road.
They're going from Keating's
Yep.
by Fort Pond Road and probably within a couple hundred feet of the railroad bridge,
Okay.
I would
Up to
guess.
Powell's property on the right.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is if they didn't, there's not really a need for them to go close to the railroad bridge unless they put a hydrant or something there. If, I don't know how far they were going, were they going right up?
It was far enough past Route 70 for them to put a hydrant in, because I had them put a hydrant at the very end.
Okay,
So it was
so
long enough.
how close is that hydrant to the bridge?
They were staying quite a ways away from it. They
Okay.
didn't need to go too close to it.
I don't know. I can't, there's nothing that we can do. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
yeah, there's nothing historically that we've done and kinda.
But no, I mean, even if we wanted to, well, what are you gonna do?
Give them a hydrant, which is, that's like,
Yeah.
all right. It's like, it's
And the
it's really not,
The connection fees is where we make, a lot of our income to pay our bills, but
well.
of course, they're gonna install the pipe
connection,
and everything.
the money from the connection fees goes towards some of our long-term debt.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we raise the connection fees
Yeah,
because of, to help offset the cost of putting in the Keating well. Because the new connections are more money, but all of the older clients paid for I don't wanna say old people, so.
Our seasoned customers had already.
Yeah, they've already paid to get the district where it is.
Right.
So we didn't wanna put the burden on them to pay for, new users. And the new supply needed to supply new users, so that's
Yeah.
why our connection fees went up to help offset the cost of supply, the new supplies and new users, so.
well, if I could think of something, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, that's the thing, there's nothing I can really.
He asked
think
if we
of.
could come up with something, and I told him I'd bring it to you guys. And
Yeah. The only thing that we did think about is that, yeah, the possibility, we had discussion and with somebody that owns land,
yep.
Now, that's gonna be a
that-
12-inch main?
We could
Yes.
do something with that, but that would just be a straight swap for whatever projects they may have as far as connection fees or whatnot down the road. If we gain value in something, then yeah, we'll give value up,
Yeah. Okay.
Alright.
so. Anybody else have any other commissioner superintendent additions?
Not I.
Nope.
Okay, my only one thing, we are still in a holding pattern on Mass Ave, or are we working on engineering?
With the engineering's wrapping it up. What do you say? This week?
Whitman and
Next week.
Bingham, I emailed it, but he's,
His land. They're doing the land properties and
Yep.
that stuff. So once he's done that, then it goes back to Stantec for design of the plans for the water.
And just kind of maybe hey, where are we at with how much money we thought it would be to what it's actually gonna be?
Yeah, so once he gets his stuff to Stantec, then we'll
Because
start coming
obviously
up with,
things are going stupid.
It's
through the
going
roof.
crazy. I hear it's
Yeah.
like 6 to 8 months just to get water main,
Yep.
get material.
I went down and bought 700 feet of 4-inch plastic pipe the other day.
Yeah.
700. Oof. Oof.
$7.
Yeah,
I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 or something.
yeah, it's crazy.
I bought a pickup truck load. Just I went down, Vice Plus and chucked some on the back of my truck. And Pete's like, oh, it's $1,000. What?
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
All right, obviously we have no public comment, so I'll motion to adjourn.
You got it.
So moved.